In the heart of the great African savanna, where the acacia trees cast long, dancing shadows under the golden sun, there lived a magnificent lion. He was not just any lion. He was the king of all beasts, his roar a thunder that shook the very earth and his mane a crown of sun-kissed gold. His name was Simba, and his heart was as noble as his bearing. Now, in this vast kingdom, there also lived a jackal named Koko. Koko was small, quick-witted, and his eyes held a mischievous glint that spoke of a mind always turning, always scheming. While most animals feared the mighty lion, Koko, with his disarming charm and clever tongue, had managed to become the king's most unlikely friend and advisor. Their bond was a peculiar sight. You could often see them together, Simba, the lion, walking with a slow, regal gait, and Koko, the jackal, trotting alongside, his ears perked, chattering away about the goings-on of the savannah. Simba valued Koko's sharp intellect and his ability to see things the other animals missed. Koko, in turn, basked in the power and protection that came with being the king's companion. They would share stories under the baobab tree, their laughter mixing with the hum of the cicadas. For a time, it seemed like a perfect, if unusual, friendship. One season, the rains were late, the grass turned brittle and brown, and the rivers shrank to muddy trickles. The herds of zebra and wildebeest grew thin and wary, making hunting a difficult task, even for a king. A deep hunger began to stalk the land. Simba's mighty stomach rumbled, a low growl that mirrored the land's own suffering. He turned to his clever friend. "Koko," he said, his voice a low rumble, "my strength wanes, and my family is hungry. We must hunt, and it must be a great hunt, one that will feed us for many days." Koko's sharp eyes lit up. "Of course, my king, your strength and my cunning, together we are unstoppable. I have a plan. We will work as one. I will use my speed to herd the finest, fattest eland from the plains towards the rocky gorge. There, you will be waiting, and with your power, the hunt will be over in a heartbeat." And so they did. Koko, a blur of gray and brown, darted through the tall grass, yipping and nipping at the heels of a huge eland, skillfully guiding the panicked beast away from its herd. He drove it relentlessly towards the gorge where Simba lay in wait, muscles coiled like giant springs. As the eland thundered into the trap, Simba launched himself forward. With a mighty roar that echoed through the canyon, the great hunt was over. It was a magnificent kill, enough meat to feed the lion's pride for a week or more. Exhausted but triumphant, Simba lay down to rest, trusting his friend completely. "Koko, my loyal friend," he panted, "you have done well. Your cleverness is unmatched. I must rest now. Please do me this service. Divide the meat into fair portions, one for my family, and one for yours, as a reward for your invaluable help." Koko bowed low, a sly smile playing on his lips that the tired lion did not see. "As you wish, my king. Rest easy. I will ensure the division is just." As Simba slept, a dark greed, long dormant, awoke in Koko's heart. He looked at the mountain of meat, and then thought of the small portion he would receive. Why should the lion, who only made the final pounce, get the lion's share? Was it not his, Koko's, brain that had made this feast possible? Bitterness twisted his thoughts. With swift, practiced movements, Koko began to divide the eland. But it was not a fair division. He took almost all the tender, choice cuts of meat for himself, hiding them in a nearby cave. For the Lion King, he left only the tough, sinewy neck, the bony legs, and the undesirable entrails. He even had the audacity to place the eland's gallbladder, a part known for its extreme bitterness, right on top of the lion's meager pile. When Simba woke, rested and hungry, he saw the pathetic portion left for him. Confusion, then disbelief, clouded his noble face. He saw the bitter gallbladder and his heart sank. This was not a mistake. It was an insult. "Koko," he called out, his voice no longer friendly, but low and dangerous. "What is the meaning of this?" Koko appeared, feigning innocence. "My king, I have done exactly as you asked. I divided the meat. This is your portion." Simba's golden eyes narrowed. "You call this a fair share? This is an insult to your king and your friend." But Koko was ready with a lie. "Ah, my king," he said, shaking his head sadly, "it was not I who did this. As I was dividing the meat, your wife, the queen, came by. She was so hungry. She said you had sent her, and she took all the best meat for the cubs. She left only this for you. I tried to stop her, but she is the queen. What could I do?" Simba was stunned. Betrayed by his friend was one thing, but to be slighted by his own queen. Rage, hot and blinding, replaced his sorrow. He had trusted Coco, and now this lie, this poison, had entered his heart, turning him against his own family. Without another word, he stormed back to his den, his roar of fury shaking the savannah. He confronted his wife who, of course, knew nothing of the meat or Coco's deception. The den, once a place of peace, was filled with anger and confusion, all sown by the cunning jackal. Meanwhile, Coco did not wait around. He knew the lion's anger would eventually find the right target. He grabbed his stolen feast and fled. He ran and ran, his little legs carrying him across the plains until he reached a fortress of rocks, a tall copy with steep, unclimbable sides. He found a high ledge with a small cave, a perfect hideout, and settled in to enjoy his ill-gotten gains. It wasn't long before Simba discovered the truth. After his rage had cooled, his wise queen helped him see the holes in the jackal's story. The hurt of the initial betrayal returned, tenfold. He had been a fool. His friend had not only stolen from him but had tried to destroy his family with lies. With a heart heavy with sorrow and vengeance, Simba tracked Coco to the rocky fortress. He stood at the bottom, looking up at the high ledge where the jackal was feasting. The smell of roasting meat wafted down, mocking him. "Coco," Simba roared, and this time, the sound was not of kingship, but of pure, heartbroken fury. "Traitor, liar, come down and face me." Coco peeked over the edge, a piece of roasted eland in his jaws. He laughed, a high-pitched, mocking sound. "Oh, my dear Simba, the air is so much better up here. Why would I come down? You should have been more careful who you trusted." Day after day, Simba waited at the bottom of the kopje. He would not leave. His pride brought him water, but he refused to hunt, refused to eat. He just stared up at the traitor, his heart a cold, heavy stone in his chest. He saw Coco grow fat and lazy on the stolen meat, saw the bones of the great eland being tossed carelessly from the ledge. The great lion, the king of the savannah, sat there, a lonely, powerful figure, undone not by a rival lion or a charging buffalo, but by the betrayal of a small, clever friend. And as he watched the jackal in his fortress, he learned the hardest lesson of all, that a cunning lie can be more dangerous than the sharpest claw, and a broken friendship can hurt more than any wound. From that day forward, the lion and the jackal were never again friends. And the animals of the savannah tell this story to their young, a reminder that even the mightiest king can be brought low by a treacherous heart, and that trust once broken is a treasure that can never be fully reclaimed. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to follow for more tales from the heart of the wild.